Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another vidIQ live stream. I'm Dan, and today we are talking about treating your channel as if it was a business. Now, if you have no ambition whatsoever of turning your YouTube channel into a business, this is just a hobby for you, this stream is still for you because there's only things to gain by treating your YouTube channel like a business. That is today's discussion. First up, Mr. Rob. How are you?
Hey, Dan, how are you doing? We just noted as we went live that we're wearing matching vidIQ merch today. How awesome is that? But one thing you are missing are the gloves. I'll be back in a few minutes.
I went to find gloves in my closet to throw them away just to show in protest, of the gloves. This is just not a thing I'm going to do. And I found an innocent pair of gloves and threw them away.
Oh, poor gloves. Poor gloves.
Usually the first Wednesday of every month, we invite Emily D. Baker onto the live stream to talk about such issues like YouTube as a business. And look at that. You're here.
I'm here. I'm here with my paw nerd Fred, who is just going to be hanging out for the whole stream. That's what's happening today. It's so good to see everybody. I'm excited to talk about the business side of YouTube because it's in the news right now, or at least if you follow along with my little corner of YouTube, it's in the news right now. So I can't wait to chat about it. I
was thinking of alternative names for your cat that would relate to law. And the only one I could think of, you've probably already done this on your live streams, Emily, Pawsecution.
Fred for the prosecution.
If
I like
anybody
it.
Can think of a better cat legal name, then let us know in the chat and I'll certainly share it.
We have a Fred and a George. They are both ginger kittens. They don't look like kittens anymore. I didn't realize how big ginger cats can get. But because they are ginger brothers, we went with the Harry Potter reference. The rather obvious Harry Potter reference at that.
So tell everybody a little bit about you and your channel and what you do.
Hey, law nerds, and for not yet law nerds, I'm Emily D. Baker. I've been a lawyer for over 15 years. I'm a former deputy district attorney, and I am a legal commentator here on YouTube. I am a full-time content creator, which is very exciting, and I do all the things people say you shouldn't do on YouTube. I do long-form legal commentary. I'm not 20. I don't play Minecraft. I don't have an OnlyFans, and this is still my full-time business, so I am happy to be here.
And I would also add, if you want to know how to build a live streaming community on YouTube, then definitely checking out Emily's regular live streams, because you get on average like thousands of people watching your live streams every single.
I mean, we average 4,000 to 5,000, and it will bump up from there depending on topic. We've almost broken 11,000 more than once. So that's our next target, to break 11,000 on stream. But they're very topical streams. We have conversations with compassion. I really do bring kind of the neutral, critical thinking side of things to my content. And we talk about why the law is the way it is, what's happening. Sometimes I'll give my thoughts on things, like if Triller is suing the H3 podcast and trying to sue Teddy Fresh, I'll tell people how I feel about it. But generally, we just talk about breaking it down, and I let the audience decide how they feel about what's happening. It's always my goal to bring understanding to why the law does the things that it does. And quite a few of the things I cover right now are business related. The Toddy Westbrook lawsuits that are popping up are business related. The Triller H3 podcast is business related right now. And there's others that really involve the way you structure your business and making sure that that's done properly. So the topic couldn't be more timely to what we're talking about. And we just saw a big article about Trisha Paytas where she just talked about how she earned upwards of 800,000 per month at kind of the height of her popularity on YouTube. So, there are real businesses here, but you don't have to actually do it properly to make that kind of money.
So that is going to be the topic for the day. There will be a point at which we take your questions, usually 30 minutes to an hour, somewhere between there, after our conversation. So as you think of questions today, do us a favor, please write them down in your notes app or a notepad or on a temporary document somewhere, so you can ask them for everybody once we get to that point in today's live stream. Let's start. Rob, maybe we could put up a poll if we haven't already. How many channels here, I'd be curious to know, are already thinking like a business, or maybe how many channels would like to eventually pivot to become like a full-time business on YouTube, whatever you think is more
I can.
And I think you don't even have to be full-time to want to earn some money on YouTube. I mean, you know, earning any money on YouTube is a very fun thing. But once you start earning money on YouTube, you have a business, whether you think you do or not.
That might be the first thing we need to discuss too, because we have gone over this in the past, but maybe just a more focused discussion. We could start here again though. Like, what would you say for a channel starting out is like the thing you notice, the number one mistake, like you're constantly seeing them make over and over again?
I think some of the big ones, the first one is not treating it like a separate business entity. And that's really going to determine by how much money you make. If you're making $100 a year, it's probably like, well, I don't really have to think about it too much. But once you start making a couple $1,000s a year coming in from AdSense or from sponsorships and stuff, you really have to think about separating that money out. The second thing I see is people scramble to start like an LLC and don't seem to get any legal consult or maybe have any thought. And you don't need a lawyer to file that document. Whatever state you live in, it's pretty easy to file. But what you do need to consider is not filing it with your home effing address, because getting doxxed on the internet is a real thing. And I have gone and looked into the business entities of large YouTubers, Shane Dawson, and they put their home address on their corporate documents. And it is mind-boggling to me. People who have access to attorneys and still don't spend the $200 a year to get a UPS store box with a street address and use it as a business address. Once you're thinking about filing a business entity, and we'll talk about the benefits of that, you can't use your home address on those things and shouldn't be using your home address. Even if, you know, on your business PayPal account and such, that should all be a separate business address, because personal safety and security is very important, and channels can blow up very quickly. My channel gained 55,000 subscribers and quite a lot of attention in 1 month. It went from making not a lot of money to making well past 10,000 in a month. So it can happen very quickly, but also the attention that comes with that can happen very quickly. And that's when people started trying to hack my accounts and things like that. So making sure you have the foundation set allows you to just go and be successful, and not, if you have a video go viral, not be afraid. And I hear this from a lot of viral creators that I've talked to, is they're afraid because they're then scrambling to build in that foundation because something took off, when really when something takes off, you should be just riding that wave and focusing on capitalizing on that moment, not going, oh shit, the IRS is going to come for me, I don't know what I'm doing. So the foundation first. That was a long answer.
No, that was great. What was the when did you, maybe there's a few steps you could take us through, but when did you make your first move with your current channel? Like, what maybe a subscriber count were you at before you did any of these things, like started separating your money out or start your LLC?
Well, let's just go back one more step, because your channel was opened on 2006.
Yes.
Okay.
So like you're one of the original gangsters in terms of maybe watching YouTube content, but I guess there was a point when you transitioned from viewer to creator. Sorry, I just want to add a bit of context.
No, yeah, thank you.
I started creating content on YouTube 6 years ago. So in 2015 is when I started creating content. June 2015 was when my first video went up. It's terrible. You can't find it. Haha. It's now down, but my channel started as a hobby and a form of connection. And I've talked about my story a lot. I was having health struggles as a district attorney. I loved the tech space on YouTube. I still love and engage with the tech space on YouTube, and started doing live streams with other tech creators and talking about phones, stuff that I was allowed to talk about as I was still employed full-time as a district attorney. And then my channel maybe made $100 a year. Some years I don't even think I hit the payout threshold. But once I started my own entrepreneurial business, I folded my YouTube channel under it. If I had remained employed and was doing my YouTube channel as a side hustle, once I was making in the $2,000-$3,000 a year range, I would have started separating that money out. So it absolutely is something that you think about depending on where you're at with your life. And you can use businesses in different ways. So if you have a YouTube channel that's not making a ton of money, but you're investing personal funds into it, it might be time to consider separating this out like a business, because then when your channel does make money, you can pay back those funds without paying taxes on them. See, now anything I talk about taxes, I'm talking about US taxes only. Mileage may vary based on what country you're in, but it's something to think about for sure. So when you start investing into your channel, if you're buying equipment and stuff, if you've got it set up like a business, then you actually can get some mileage on those funds that you're spending. So there's kind of two different thoughts there. And and it's a great way to get some of the tax benefits in the US that if you're a W-2 employee, you might not otherwise get. So there's a lot of reasons to treat your channel like a business, even if you're not seeing a ton of money coming in.
Can I ask, for anyone who may not know, what does it look like? Like, what does it physically mean to separate your money? Are we talking about, does that come with making the LLC, or is that going to another bank and opening a new account? Like, how would you, when you're just starting out, you're starting to make a couple $100 a month, like, how would you separate that money?
You can do it before. You can work as a sole proprietor and still have your own business. I mean, it's not always advisable. Tom Girardi was running, and if you follow my content, you know I've been talking about this disgraced lawyer making hundreds of millions of dollars, it seemed, and then all of it disappeared. Weird, but he was running his whole law firm as a sole proprietor. It's wild stuff, but you can operate as a sole proprietor with a separate business bank account. This does not mean a separate personal business account. This means a separate business bank account. There are lots of banks that work online only. You can do it through Capital One, through Axos, through others, and having that separate bank account. If you're not making a ton of money, I don't love this option, but it's an option. PayPal also has a business wing. It's not a bank account, but you can have a business PayPal account that starts taking money from sponsorships and things like that and using it there, and then keeping note of when you're paying yourself out. The reason I like a separate business bank account, whether at your bank or elsewhere, is because if you're investing into your channel, you can take the $500 you might pay on a camera, put it in your business bank account, and use that as a business expense. Now you're investing into your business and you've got a paper trail. So as your business starts to grow or as your channel grows, you can move that money back over to you personally as a loan repayment.
Gotcha. So I just wanted to clear that up, because I think there's, it'd be easy to be intimidated by that. Just the sound of a business bank account. What do I need for that? Like, just those kinds of questions for anyone just getting started. And I think, just from my own experience, I could say that getting to that like $100 a month threshold is something that can happen to you a lot sooner than you think. Once you're monetized and you're starting to get your rhythm down for the content you're making, and you're getting like a solid number of views on every video, you'd be surprised from ad revenue alone that is a mark you can hit pretty quick. And that's, when you're talking about $100 a month, that's, $1,200 a year already.
Yep. And that's income you're going to have to report in most countries. And the thing I think people forget about is when it's a little bit, that it really can add up. But it's not just the money you make from YouTube. It's also the tax opportunities in running your own business, especially if you're like me and you enjoy gear. Starting to shift those into business expenses can stretch that $100, because what I talk about in my content, and I have a link, I think I sent it to you guys, the link for my biz guide. I have a worksheet on this that's free if you want to sign up and download it. My cat is having a moment today. He needs more attention than most YouTubers today. You can download that and walk through it, and it gives you kind of a more deep dive walkthrough of some of these things for free through my email. The Creator's Biz Guide. It will help you get running. But one of the things people forget is when you are an employee, you get paid money, you get taxed, and then you get your paycheck. So you've got your salary or your income or your hourly rate, then taxes and fees come out, then you get paid. When you're a business, you get the money first. Then whatever you spend happens. Then they tax the remainder. So there are lots of businesses, when people say businesses don't pay taxes, a lot of businesses don't, because their expenses kind of match their income. And that's not illegal. That's not wrong. That's just, hey, I brought in $3,000 this year in my business and I spent $3,000 this year on my business. So there's nothing left over to tax.
The business guide is linked down below, by the way, in the description for anyone.
Just about to say that, Dan.
You did it again. That's the second time you've done
it. No, I almost did. I think I went da.
It's close enough. I'm going to count it. Well, that completely derailed me. So now you get to ask a question.
I guess what I was going to add, this is not necessarily a question, it's more of a statement, in that what we're talking about here is everything you do beyond YouTube, like you're setting up a business because you're creating content on YouTube. But I think obviously the first thing that creators have to be aware of is how YouTube themselves will tax you as the income's coming in. Now, when you go through the process of connecting an AdSense account and agreeing to a YouTube partner program, you should be prompted to declare. I think this is mostly for people who are outside the US, because I think within the US the tax is already applied. But I think you need to make sure that you're declaring your country's tax agreement with the US, so that when people watch your content from the US, the tax is correctly deducted. Because if you don't do anything, then you could receive a 30% tax on every single thing that you do on YouTube, which, as Emily has said, although earning money does mean you're taxed, there are many ways to make that tax
strategize,
not work for you, but
work for you.
Benefits, yeah.
Look, the U.S. tax system is deeply complicated, and it's complicated so people that understand it can game the system. The system was written by people who have a lot of money and would like to keep it. The tax guide, we used to have to take the tax code books that were like on onion paper in law school, and they were literally, the 2 volumes of the tax code were like this. I had to go to my car before class and pull them out because I couldn't carry them in a bag. They were so big. So our tax code has a lot of opportunity to strategize what you pay and how you use your money. And because business money, you get the money, then you get the expenses, then you get taxed. There's a lot you can do there. And even as a at-home business, even as someone who's just making a little bit of money, that's money you could use to pay your internet and it hasn't been taxed yet. That's money you can use to pay for your equipment or your software and that hasn't been taxed yet. So there's a lot of opportunity in having a side hustle or a side business. And that is something that can be really valuable, even if your channel's not making a ton of income, because you're still working towards it. And a lot of, I joke that one of the best things I started doing was drinking whiskey on stream. And I realized why all the law tubers drink whiskey on stream. It's because then it's a business expense. I was like, damn it. Why didn't I think of that sooner? Drinking on stream is brilliant. Of course, consult with a tax professional, but it's worth having a conversation about what you do on your channel so that you can strategize how you use your business income.
And perhaps your doctor as well before consuming alcohol during a live stream.
I mean, mileage may vary on whether you want to consume alcohol on stream or not, but it's something that I do on Fridays, and it's not for everybody, I'm sure. But we used to do shots for super chats on our text streams, and that became a mess real fast.
How does age become a factor? Because there are many creators who are probably under, I don't know what is the threshold in the US to start treating people differently in tax-wise in terms of age, or does it from state to state? 16, 18, let's say like a 13-year-old.
It varies from state to state. Because you can also have compacts, because you've got kids that work, right? And I mean, I grew up in Los Angeles. I lived there most of my life until COVID, and then we moved. But you've got child actors working at 6 months old, 5 years old, 2 years old. So if you have children making money on YouTube, generally the account has to be under a parent. Oftentimes you might need to have a trust for the kid. There are ways to set those up depending on how much money is being made. But at that point, if you have a kind of child-focused channel, there's a lot more conversation that needs to happen, because there's also COPA considerations. This cat right now is doing everything he can to keep me distracted. But those are considerations that definitely need to come into play for sure. So if you have a child-led channel, then that's a conversation to have in your state with a tax professional. But generally the account or the AdSense account would be set up with someone over the age of 18, but you could always set up a business entity with a EIN in the US. That's your business social security number. You can do that if you're a sole proprietor, so you don't put your social security number on everything, including if you're doing brand deals, not sending your social security number out to them. You never know when their systems might get compromised. So there's a lot of reasons to set that up. But you can do that with a channel that has, kids under the age of 18 that are earning income, which they're allowed to do.
So how often would you say your cat is interrupting your live streams?
Oh, pretty frequently these days.
And you feed your cat to keep it alive?
He's huge.
Is it a tax deductible investment? Now that the cat's on live stream,
I was going to say
the food you purchase.
He's the entertainment now.
Right off. Yeah.
If you feed the cat to keep it alive, and the cat's part of the stream, then tax deductible cat food.
Yep, he's the entertainment now. Fred and George are normally sleeping in the back chair, so maybe the chair. I need to consider the chair and the cat bed tax deductible. Actually, I bought it with business expenses anyway because it's part of my set, so it works either way. I also have an appearance budget. Yep, that's a thing. Because we have to appear on stream. And if you're wearing makeup and hair products and stuff, it can, you got to have an appearance budget. So there's an appearance budget.
Yeah, what could I do with that? Maybe a beard trimming expense?
Your gloves. New gloves.
Yeah. I managed to get them on. It took 20 minutes, but here they are. Dan, do you mind if I carry on with another question that's in my head?
I just wanted to say something silly about cats.
Please do.
Oh, go ahead. No, let's hear it.
No, I already did.
That's
why I interrupted everything.
Let's talk about worst case scenarios or ramifications. Let's say Emily and ourselves, we've given you all of the advice about building a business, getting it set up through LLCs, declaring it, etc., etc. What if, let's say, a creator does absolutely nothing? We're not going to tell anyone. They're just going to earn the money. They're going to spend it, etc., etc. I guess from a timeline as to what starts to happen in terms of things going south if a creator doesn't set themselves up correctly.
I'm gonna give an example of a gentleman in Arizona. And this is a California-specific example, but we're going to extrapolate. He was a writer for a couple different movie studios in California. Earned, a good bit of money, but not a ton of money, all things considered, about $40,000 in 1 year from one of the studios he worked with. Didn't pay taxes in California. Remember, he lives in the state of Arizona. 8 years later, the state of California was like, hey, we noticed that so-and-so movie studio paid you $40,000. But you didn't pay the state of California sales or income tax. And he's like, because I live in Arizona. And the state of California is like, yeah, but our law says if you derive income from California, you have to pay taxes in California. And since you never filed a tax return, the statute of limitations didn't start to run. The statute of limitations is what stops people from reaching back super far to sue you over shit. And so they charged him for all of the back years the amount that he owed in taxes, the penalties on those taxes, and then interest on both the penalties and the back taxes, which ended up being a bill larger than the $40,000 that he earned in the first place. So California can be quirky, but the thing is, if you don't start to look at these things, you don't know what you don't know. And states can reach back, the feds can reach back and say, you never reported this income and we're going to come back and grab tax income. There was just a recent profile on, YouTube troll and personality, Trisha Paytas. And in that they talked about her tax issues. And this isn't uncommon with creators, and talked about literally going broke because they did not set money aside from taxes. If your channel earns, $3,000 in a month, you need to put $1,000 aside for taxes just to be sure. Because with YouTube ad revenue, and for creators that rely just on YouTube ad revenue, what I see is they make a bunch and they're like, oh, I'm going to pay off all my debt. Oh, I'm going to go buy a new purse. I'm going to go get that bag, whatever it is. But they forget to put that money aside because it's like the money's going to keep rolling. Yeah, until there's adpocalypse, until you take a vacation, until you get a copyright strike and your channel gets demonetized or accidentally gets demonetized and it takes 2 months to fix. Don't count on future money to pay back taxes. It's going to catch you in the end, and that can be very hard to recover from. And I've seen creators talk about that over and over and over again, just not understanding putting that money away. Now, here's the trick. This is what I like to do. I save my money for taxes. And then if my tax liability is less than that, that is all fun money. Everything that's left over is fun money for me. It's vacation money, it's purse money, it's whatever. So that is how I view it, as my tax savings account is like, let's see how much of this I can spend when my taxes are done. So it is absolutely necessary to start thinking forward about these things. So yes, stuff can go wrong badly. But it can take years to go wrong. And once it takes years to go wrong, it can be very expensive. And the thing is, the IRS and the Franchise Tax Board, they don't care. They don't want to hear it. And you can't discharge tax debts in bankruptcy. There's a reason I say with the Girardi case that I think the tax man's going to get them in the end. It's the reason that the IRS is who took down Al Capone. Like, the IRS is ruthless. And that's said from someone who worked with the U.S. Attorney's Office in their tax fraud division.
So the bullet points there are that it can happen at any time. You know, just because you started earning revenue 10 years ago and you forget about it, there's a possibility that people who want that money aren't going to forget about it. Whenever
they catch up with it. And the thing is, YouTube reports what they pay out. So it's the other side that's going to get you in trouble when they're declaring and then your income doesn't match up. Like, hey, so the IRS is saying YouTube paid out creator X 10 grand in 2012. Hang on, where's this declaration from creator X at the same time period? Yeah, it's like, just because you're trying to hide the money trail doesn't mean that the other party involved, you know, the payer of the income or the receiver of income isn't declaring. And even if you're not trying to hide it, even if you just literally don't know,
exactly,
ignorance is not naivety, an excuse in that. Yep.
And then the other thing that I think was really important to say is that even if you don't really understand the concept of tax and so on, a good rule of thumb is to put a third of your income, just so that you have that money for when all of a sudden you realize, oh, I do need to do this. I didn't realize, but now, you know, I do have this money saved. And then, as you say, you know, at the end of the year, if after all of the taxes paid, you do have a bit of money left, that is something to have fun with or reinvest back into your business.
Absolutely. And it's one of those things, once you work with a tax professional, they might say, you know what, for the way we've got your business set up, you only need to save X amount. Rule of thumbs tend to err a little bit higher, because I never want anybody to be like, I followed the rule of thumb and it wasn't enough money. And though that can happen too. So I work with a great company called Bench. I think there's a link in my business guide. Bench is a Canadian company that does all online accounting. They are so easy to work with. It's like Mint, but with CPAs on the other side that will go through and help you do your bookkeeping. It is not tremendously expensive. It is got to be some of the best money I spend in my business, because I know that side of my business is handled, and I know what I can and can't spend. I know where my money's going, and I know someone else is looking at it. Yesterday on stream, I covered Tati Westbrook's business partner lawsuit. Their business partner in Halo Beauty, which is her products company that's kind of conjoined with her YouTube channel. And I think still over 9 million subs on YouTube, though she's been in drama, is a fairly preeminent YouTuber, over 1 billion views, that kind of stuff. But their business partner had put, according to legal documents, these are allegations, but had put, they say, his mother-in-law and father-in-law on payroll of the company, was paying their health insurance through it, was paying credit card bills through the company without making line items for them. So they didn't know where all their money was going in this company that's doing millions of dollars a year. So it can happen quickly. And even people who are successful, it can happen that you don't know what's going on with your money. Always, always, always look at your money. And that's why I love having a company that handles it for me. Yep. Math Adam, bench.com. Bench is fantastic. I think they're a great company. I really enjoy it. Not sponsored. I should ask them, but I really enjoy working with them, because it's a great service and it's so easily accessible. When you're like, I don't know how to find an accountant that deals with this stuff, there you go.
not sponsored is always code for if you're listening, can you sponsor me?
Yes, yes, it is. I do have an affiliate link. I think that's what's in my business guide, but we'll see. I don't remember.
We did the poll, Dan, as requested. So people who want to turn their YouTube channels into businesses, 300 people have voted so far. Okay. And 57% want to go full-time. 31% want to maybe treat it as the second income. And there's only 12% who are saying that they're just here to create content on YouTube. So I think this is a opportune moment again to say to that 88% of people that Emily has a wonderful guide here to help you along the way, and it is a free download. So again, the link is in the description if you do want to take advantage of that.
Yep. What tactics could somebody at that lowest percentile who they're not really interested in the money making aspect, this is just a fun hobby for them, what business tactics could they still apply to their channel to help them out?
You can still, well, if you're not going to run it as a business that are never going to make money, there's not a lot you can do, because the IRS is going to be like, hey, you're saying this is a business and you're using these business things, but we're not seeing any money coming in. So that if some money is coming in, you've got a lot more options than if zero money is coming in. If zero money is coming in, it's hard to invest in a business for equipment if it's really a hobby. You don't get to write your hobbies off with the IRS. So there's not a ton you can do if you're like, no, this is actually a hobby. If you are making money with something that you love that is a hobby and it becomes a business, if you are making, slime ASMR videos, then the slime is a business expense, the microphone's a business expense, et cetera, et cetera. So it's hard when it's just a hobby.
Just to be clear, because the money thing is obviously irrelevant because I'm not going to monetize. I just like doing this as a hobby, theoretically. What I'd be more concerned about is letting people know the different tactics I would still apply to a channel, such as having an email address that is completely separate. Because you can, even as somebody not making any money, you can still gain popularity and notoriety. You can still have people come after you trying to hack into your stuff.
Oh, yes. Personal security stuff. Yes. I would still have, I would always set your channel up on a business or an email address that's not public, not first name, last name @gmail.com that you set up when you were in college, because people can easily figure out what that's going to be. I would set up a separate email account for that's not public facing anywhere. Name it after your pets, call it Sith Lord 829. I don't care what you call it. Make up your own Gmail for your channel. Have a contact email on your channel that's just for your channel, because you never know when a sponsorship opportunity or a cool collaboration might come up and you want to give out an email that is specific for your channel, again, so that people can't guess at what your personal or private emails may be. And then it's just the personal security stuff, being mindful when you post pictures that pictures can include metadata. Be mindful that you're not talking exactly about where you live, those sorts of things. And those just best practices, personal security stuff. A VPN can help. A password manager can help. All of those wrestling, I saw wrestling in the chat. All of those all of those locking it down things that you might need.
I'm afraid
Rob's wrestling his camera. I'm wrestling my cat. That's what's happening.
I'm afraid SithLord829 @gmail.com has already been taken, so you might want to try 830.
It's going to be taken by the end of this stream, so you're going to have to pick another number.
Probably. This is more of a statement than a question, but I'm hoping it'll trigger some thoughts. What if you're a not-for-profit or you're a charity and somehow you're earning income from YouTube? Any things to consider that are different to what we've already said?
Yes. Get an attorney that works with charities and not-for-profits, because there's ways to do that you absolutely can take advantage of. Because not-for-profit doesn't mean you don't make any money. It means you don't make a profit. So there are ways to set that up. It's just going to be very specific to your business. At that point, if you're running a not-for-profit and haven't spoken to an attorney, do that. Do that immediately. Same with if you're a church, like church channels. Churches tend to be not-for-profits and can have YouTube channels. And if those are monetized, it's how are you accounting for that money? Where is it going? Those kinds of things.
Absolutely. Do we want to move into the Q&A section? of today's live stream.
Yeah, I think I've done. You've added a cat emoji, Dan, to your name. Is that correct?
I did that while we were talking about cats. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking at the beginning, could Emily add some of the scales?
I want an emoji. Wait, how do I add an emoji?
Do you have to?
No, you just 3 dots next to your name down there, and you can change your name, and then get your emoji keyboard out. And
yeah.
I don't see 3 dots next to my name.
Oh, you don't? When you down by the little. Oh wait, you don't have the little thing. Hang on. Can I rename you?
I'm a guest. Can. You are welcome to rename. Oh. I'm not going to give you full. You're welcome to rename me. Yay, scales!
They didn't come in like with the emoji colors.
They look like a pair of lungs. Weird.
I was going to say they looked like something else because I've had 2 children and I'm in my 40s, but
There's no gavel.
Nope, there's no gavel. You can do a purple heart.
Okay, yeah, let's do that.
Yep. So, I think my biggest takeaways for anybody who is on YouTube, who wants to make money on YouTube, is to have a way to separate your money out first. It's okay if that is a PayPal account first. Be mindful that if you get a sudden influx of money to PayPal, I don't put my AdSense into PayPal. I put it directly into a business bank account, because if you get large sudden influxes of money, PayPal goes, "Ee, are you money laundering?" And they can shut down your PayPal and your access to your money for up to 6 months without giving you an explanation. It is in their terms of use. I had a number of money laundering cases through PayPal when I was still prosecuting cases. And the way people would money launder through PayPal was genius and really fascinating. But PayPal has gotten wise to these things and does have some pretty strict algorithms that will shut you down. And then trying to undo that can take months. So don't put all of your money into PayPal, but it's a great way to run with advertisers and a great way to get started. Venmo is not a valid form of business payment, just a reminder. So if you want to get a business bank account, a lot of the online business bank accounts don't charge you a monthly fee, and it's a good way to get started. So separate your money, understand liability, LLCs and what have you. If you want to understand that more, I'm going to be breaking down Triller trying to sue Teddy Fresh for something Ethan Klein said. Teddy Fresh is his wife's clothing company over something he said on his YouTube channel, and corporate personhood and separation of liability and what have you. That's going to be a deep dive on my channel. And then really understanding that being on YouTube can open you up for liability. We've seen numerous YouTubers sued over defamation. Tasha K is a YouTuber being sued by Cardi B for defamation. That's going forward for trial. Other YouTubers have been sued for defamation. So being on this platform, you can open yourself up for some liability. And if you're running it as a business, at least you have some of those protections. So,
but we should add that nobody can be held for defamation when they play our wonderful game that's coming up soon.
Because it's not stating fact or truth. So those are kind of my top. And then we've got the download if you want to walk through it. I've also got a For Creators playlist over on my channel too that can help with some of the things that I break down and talk about. It's really understanding what questions to ask and at what point you need to reach out to a tax professional or a legal professional. If in your gut you're like, I don't feel like I should do this, maybe don't. If you're thinking that getting your friends up on a giant digger and swinging them around on a rope is a good idea, don't. Prank videos can really open you up to a lot of liability. So, Tide Pod challenges and things like that. Don't encourage that kind of shit on your channel.
No, don't do that.
Liability.
Hooray! Let's go ahead and get into the Q&A portion of today's live stream.
Ton of questions that have been coming in here.
I love your questions.
So, boom, Q&A. Usually it says
should I
more.
Put on an enable? I'm going to turn it. I'm going to leave it off to begin with, Dan.
Okay.
The slow mode, just to see how we get on. But if it does get a bit too hectic, then let's put it on. So we're encouraging people to ask questions based on what we've just been talking about, turning your YouTube channel into a business. But it feels as if you're all pretty much on point with a lot of the questions that you're asking right now. So apologies if we go quiet as we're searching for questions.
It does help if you put #question in front of your question.
It does, yeah.
It does. I saw a great question from Melissa B, because I'm working down and going back up, that said, what draws the line of a hobby versus a business? See, I'm not the only one getting attacked by cat butts up in here.
There we go.
Money. Money is what draws the line. So if you're making money and you can operate a business, if you are not making money, you are having a hobby. Sometimes it's an expensive hobby. I like to do recurve archery. I thought photography was an expensive hobby. Archery has a lot of shit you can buy that is expensive. So if you are not making money on it, it is a hobby. If you are trying to make money on it, it can be a business. Pinky Tech, that's a great question. Do you need a business license before opening a business? Checking. It depends on where you live. A lot of places do not require a business license for an online business. Some places do. Los Angeles, California, a lot of places in LA County require a business license for an online business. I always recommend that you Google where you live, your locality. I used to live in El Segundo, California. So El Segundo, California, online business license, and see what you can find if you need a license, or call your city and say, hey, do I need a business license for an online business or an at-home business? And then look at your county or your parish and see if you need it out wider. Most of the time for a business, checking what you need is a EIN, which is free through the IRS. I have a link in the business guide. There are so many scam sites with regards to EINs. If you just try to Google where to find your EIN, they will take you to another site and you're entering in your social security number and all this stuff. Do it directly through the IRS. The IRS website, by the way, has hours. Like if at 1 a.m. you're watching this on the replay crew, love you the most. You can't go to the IRS website and do this at 1 a.m. because their website has hours and you actually can't submit forms in the late evening hours. It's the craziest thing ever. I'm like, I do my best work at 2 a.m. What are you doing to me? So crazy.
Oh my word.
Wow.
Yep.
Oh dear.
Trying to understand this question. Maybe it makes sense. Is there a way to change the address on the incorporation once processed?
Pocket Angie Tips, good to see you. Yes, there are absolutely ways to change the address. It just depends on what state you live in, and you can do that through your Secretary of State's website. I will encourage you, depending on the state you live in, most states, it's pretty easy to call the Secretary of State's office and be like, hey, how do I do this? You know what? They'll tell you. They'll be like, oh, it's this form. Would you like me to email it to you? I really don't be afraid to ask questions. A lot of sites have like a business resources section to their Secretary of State's website that has a ton of really helpful information. They want you to be able to do this stuff correctly. And a lot of states make it really easy to figure that out. So yes, Pocket Angie Tips, you can look at the state where you live. Switching between states is way more complicated.
Oh, an interesting one here. I have a channel with 40,000 subscribers, and I'm looking for offers to purchase my channel. Don't worry, I'm not quitting unless an amazing offer comes in. Is there anything legal I should consider?
Oh, yes. In the sale of a channel, there needs to be some kind of a formal document drawn up to sell the channel. You're going to need to understand what the compete, non-compete is on that. Like, hey, are you still allowed to create content? In which category are you allowed to create content? For how long are you forestalled from creating content? So yes, there's a lot to consider. How the channel gets transferred should be in there. How the money gets transferred and when should be in there. Do not turn over the rights to the channel until you have money. Generally, with the sale of a large business asset, you would have an escrow account and then somebody would manage the handover. Depending on how much a sale of a 40,000, I've never looked at selling channels, but depending on how much that would be for you, might not need an escrow. But you definitely need to have documentation of your channel, the money it's made, disconnecting it from the back end, AdSense and things like that. Daryl Eves, I know he sells channels on occasion and might have content about that, but I'm not 100% sure.
My really rudimentary understanding of selling channels was that I thought this was against terms of service. But as you say, I think Daryl and other channel owners have probably done this.
I have no idea if it's within terms of service or not.
Yeah,
that would be something to look at for sure. I went straight to the business sales side of it. I love that you brought back the YouTube side of it.
I just thought it was, but I've heard people talk about doing this before, but somebody sent me an email. This is a couple of years ago. I think it was a music artist. And what they'd done is they'd literally bought another music artist channel with, I think it was like 1 million subscribers. And then they were asking me, I've started uploading my music on there and nobody's watching it. And I was thinking, well, yeah, nobody wants to all of a sudden be listening to Blink 182 and then it's the Spice Girls. If that channel was for a particular audience. So yeah, I don't know how much of in terms of a value of a channel at 40,000 would be. Probably not that much. And again, like, are you going to be trying to sell this to? Because I think Splodgeball is a domino channel, from what I remember. Are there many channels, businesses out there wanting to invest in that type of thing? It's a very murky world, and so I probably shouldn't say anything else about it because I really don't understand it.
Because like MCNs take over sometimes the channels that they're working with and stuff like that, but I don't know if it's really a purchase or if it's a profit sharing agreement. So I think there's got to be some way for that to happen because I know that channels do get sold.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what about an EIN for a business bank account? I'm guessing they're asking
EIN first of all.
What?
Yes. Get that first. Well, no. Okay, here's the process. First, you decide if you want to be a sole proprietor or an LLC. If you're not at the place where you need an LLC, that's completely okay. It is okay to run as a sole proprietor. In some states like California, it's an $800 a year flat tax to start to be an LLC. And that might just not financially be worth it depending on your channel. An EIN is a social security number for a business. It's called an employer identification number. You don't have to employ anyone to have one. People get confused on that. It is free through the IRS and you use it for your business instead of or in place of your social security number. So it's the way your business bank account tracks you. You would put it into your AdSense account, etc. So yes, get that, and you can get a business bank account with just an EIN as a sole proprietor.
Awesome. Oh, sorry, cat accident. She held on for a bit there.
Is everything okay there, Don?
Was she holding on to you though?
No, just the table, and she just kind of started.
My cat did that yesterday on this. The mega desk is a little bit slick, and Fred went to roll over and rolled right off. But see, now he has messed with me half the stream. And look at the sleepy baby back there. This is the perfect time. I'm gonna have to record videos after this.
I'm kind of worried about her because she was cleaning herself at the edge of the bed earlier and almost fell off and had to catch herself. I'm like, oh boy.
So I've done a quick search on YouTube support because I'm always curious about this question. According to this, it's a response from the Google team, but this is, there are so many teams at Google, who's talking to who. And on this one, it does say, generally selling and buying of YouTube channels is not illegal. However, we do not support this
So they don't have a process to facilitate like an escrow, or like they told me they were selling this channel and then they didn't turn it over to me, give it to me, I'm entitled to it. Google's not going to get involved. So if you try to buy a channel and you pay the money and the channel doesn't get turned over to you, Google's not going to look at your sales agreement and say, okay, we'll turn it over to you. They're like, no, hands washed. We're not dealing with it.
Yeah, so they're not necessarily saying it's against terms of service. I mean, there were some people who were posting it is against terms of service. But again, I think that's just people who have a general understanding like me, but have not done the full research into it. Anyway.
So question we have up now is, I make comedy sketches. Can I make movie and book references in my sketches without copyright infringement?
It depends what's meant by references. So I think understanding fair use is important. I'm so distracted right now.
Yeah, let's get him out of there.
It depends on the types of references. Comedy and parody are one of those areas where legally you might not run into a copyright issue. That doesn't mean on YouTube you can't run into it. I make movie and book references all the time on my content. There's a difference between performing, like live reading a book and making Harry Potter jokes. So generally within fair use, it's fine. I just don't want anyone to be like, oh, it's fine, we can like play music and do all the things, because those are different. Performing a work is much different than being like making, you know, jokes about lines from the movie Clueless, which I do in my content all the time. If I had a copyright issue every time I quoted Legally Blonde, it would be a big issue. It's not. You can quote movies, you're not selling it.
Judging by this question, maybe this creator is just now getting monetized. It says, when starting YouTube, what do you recommend when storing donations for your channel? How would you do that? So I'm guessing they're referring to maybe super chats, or if they set up another third-party link like a Patreon or something like that.
I would send it to a business bank account, not to a PayPal account. If you do not have a business bank account set up yet, PayPal is kind of a last resort, because those things, you can connect AdSense to PayPal. Again, with the problems and the limitations that I listed earlier, and this is not my preferred way of doing it, but it's not improper to do it. It's just not preferred. So I would get a business bank account and link your AdSense to it. And I would link Patreon and everything to that too.
When you get to a point where you're making maybe, you know, a certain amount of money, maybe $100 a month, is that a good recommendation? Do you think that's like a good, or do you think that even less than that?
I mean, I think if you're going to be making money, there's no reason not to get an EIN and at least set up a business PayPal account at a minimum. Once you start making regular money every single month, then it's time to consider having a business bank account, especially if you can find, like Axos and a few others do very low fees. So as long as what you're making is more than what the fees are, it makes sense, because then you're set up so that if your channel takes off, you don't have to scramble to try to do those things that sometimes can take weeks and weeks to get set up. The nice thing is YouTube does take like a month to pay out. So you kind of know, like if something blows up, you know when the money's going to be coming in. So you can kind of gauge it and be like, okay, now I really have to get my shit together and get a bank account.
I have a few questions in a row here that are all good. I'm going to tackle this one real quick. And maybe you guys can jump in. But what if I get copyrighted for playing music from a game that I was playing on a stream? I would tell this creator to actually contact the game developer and figure out, you know, with them what's going on, because they may not know that their music is getting copyright claims, or you might find out that, oh, the music I used is absolutely not for, you can't stream with that music in the game. You might as well mute the music. So a lot of indie devs, especially, like open to conversations. It's pretty easy to get a hold of them. Yes, but if you're finding that happening, you're not sure what's at play, and the developer of the game would be the best person to contact, or the team behind the game would be the best person to contact about that. I don't know if anyone else has anything to add. All right. Next question here is, does online income such as YouTube require you to file taxes in the state the business is headquartered in? Would this translate to sponsorships, etc.?
Yes. No. Well, it depends. So generally not, because if you're working from home, it's considered deriving income where you live, not deriving income where the business is, because your business that you're making for a sponsorship, sponsor can be wherever. They're paying your business and your business is paying you. So generally no. But if you're taking like a client, law firms, for example, that have clients in different states have to pay income in those different states. But as your income streams become more diverse, that's a question that you're going to have to talk to a tax professional about. But generally, if you're just making AdSense, you don't need to file in California, because Google is in California, because they're paying you as a sole proprietor or your business, and your business is where your butt is sitting. So you have to file where your butt sits, which is why a lot of YouTubers are moving their butts out of California. Their butts have moved to Wyoming and to Colorado and to Tennessee and to other places.
There you go. I think if you're at a point where you're getting sponsorships and things like that, you should absolutely, if this was me, maybe you love doing taxes, but I think you should absolutely get CPM of some kind. And you had mentioned bench.com. I just think that when you're at that level, that's a worthwhile investment.
Oh, it's bench.co. Bench.co. Sorry, they're Canadian. I forget.
Oh.
Bench.co. That's my fault. There's
Not
a link in the business guide if you get it that you will see the bench link in there.
.co or .ca?
.co.
Okay.
Should I register my YouTube channel as a business even though I'm not monetized and don't make money from YouTube yet?
I don't understand what they mean by register it as a business. If you mean register it as a business for your personal purposes, if you want to be a sole proprietor, you can. And if you're not making money yet, you wouldn't need a business license yet. I would still get an EIN if you're intending to make money. Register with YouTube, you would say, I'm operating as a sole proprietor and this is my EIN. It's okay to start as a sole proprietor and then shift as you make more money. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Just let me know, Dan, when you've burned through all your questions.
I have, so I started searching again.
So Irish on Zero Ping, just asking if they get copyright claims, will YouTube shut down your channel? As long as they're copyright claims, then as far as I know, you can have as many copyright claims as you want. It's not necessarily a good thing for your channel because you're not going to be able to earn any revenue from that. And you're always one step away from copyright strikes. And if you get 3 strikes, then your channel is done with. But copyright claims in themselves don't actually impact the performance of your channel or your videos in any way, shape, or form, according to YouTube.
There you go. All right, I'm back to looking for questions here.
Yeah, me too. And then I think at the top of the hour, we should play it again.
Yes. Follow up. Wait, so you have to file where your primary residence is?
What was the original question?
I'm guessing we were talking a little bit ago
taxes.
about filing your taxes based on where you live versus where like the Google, for example, where they are. I would say the answer to this is yes, if I understand them.
It depends. There are some digital nomads that do different things with this, but if you have a more complex situation, you have to have tailored advice to your situation. In general, you have to file personal taxes in your state and federally. If your state requires them, not all U.S. states require you to file personal income taxes. Find those there.
From Camera Guru, if I receive a product from a company, do I have to tick the paid promotion box? So this would be on YouTube, where sometimes you see at the beginning of a video, I think there's now like a highlighted card in the top left-hand corner that includes sponsorship or something similar to that.
It says paid promotion.
Yeah, my naive answer would be no, Emily, but what's your...
I don't like the way YouTube has done this because the way that they say paid promotion indicates that it is a paid promotion and not a gifted product. But what the law says in the US is any monetary benefit has to be disclosed. So if you get a product for free, you have to disclose that in the video, but you don't necessarily have to say it's a paid promotion. So you do have to say, this was gifted to me from this and this company. My reviews and opinions are my own, but I did not pay for this. As long as it's disclosed, I have seen, and this is what I think best practices, most channels hit paid promotion if they are being paid for something in that video, for an ad read or what have you, above and beyond like, hey, I was, gifted this, I love this product and this YouTuber and I have gotten to know each other and she sent me these and I love them and thank you for sending it. That's not a paid promotion. That's I got something for free and I chose to talk about it. If they're sending it to you for free because the expectation is that you talk about it, then yes, it's more of a paid promotion because you're being paid in free product. So it depends on the expectation when it's sent. Yeah.
This would be different than if you were promoting an affiliate link as well. That does not include paid promotion because you didn't paid to promote your own affiliate link.
Correct. And you can just disclose, when I have affiliate links, it just says these are affiliate links because I like this shit and I use it a lot. So
now I would say
it goes to the Tater Tot Fund.
Certainly in the tech industry, a lot of channels are under embargoes in that they get the product early to review, but they very rarely state that they were sent the product to be reviewed. And so is that just people following, there's now that perceived understanding that most people don't declare that they're being gifted stuff, but they should.
So I think embargoed products, I'm of two minds in this, because I think there is a monetary benefit to embargoed products when you get the product before anyone else so you can review it first. When there's a product launch, if you've got the product to drop your video the day the product goes live when people are ordering it, they don't have it in their hands yet. Your videos are going to get more views, therefore there is a monetary benefit. I think it has to be disclosed that you received the product to review, but it's not really a paid promotion if you have to send the review units back. Most of the tech tubers that I really like will say, I received a review unit, and then we'll talk about the review unit. So I would say disclosure is always better. I think it also, for me, most of what I do on my channel is audience driven and community driven. The topics I talk about, the things that I do, the live streams, I love building my community and being in community with them. We all like talking about the same weirdo nerdy shit, and we get to do that all the time. And I think it would violate trust with my community if I wasn't open about something like that. If I talked about something and didn't disclose how that came to be or why that came to be. And I think building trust with your audience is more important than worried that somebody might make a comment because you said you got a review unit. When I see somebody getting a review unit, I'm like, you go. The company noticed you. Get it. And I think we've gotten past the point where we are worried about influencers. Like, who are they getting paid by? Well, they're supposed to tell you. How is Trisha Paytas making $800,000 a month? It should be disclosed on their videos.
Just to finish off that question, Camera Guru, I think a creator who does a really good job of this is someone called Mr. Mobile, who always states that the product was sent by the company, but the company had no influence on my opinions, and they're seeing the review at the same time you, the audience, do. But it's just, he addresses that in a really direct and honest way. So if you want to do check out one of his videos, it's Mr. Mobile. I think he's always declaring it.
I like that when people say, I got a review unit, but if I think it's crap, I'm going to tell you. And the company has not asked. This was not for a good review. This was for my honest opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Something people don't talk about much is having a channel with other people. If it gets successful and becomes heavily monetized, that can get messy real fast. Any advice to consider?
Yeah, this is a tricky one for us, Dan, because you have 0% ownership of vidIQ. I'm sorry to let you know that now. So you're not getting any piece of this when we decide to sell it.
That is not news. And maybe that's the thing. Maybe going into that agreement ahead of time, prepare for success, and figure out a plan before it's too late. Don't scramble at the last minute. Hey guys, the account that we set up, just like Emily said, we set up this business account. It just got its first deposit of $3,000. What do we do?
I have a lot of content on this because, again, if you all are in my little weird space of the internet, you watched the frenemies breakup between Ethan Klein and Trisha Paytas over 5% of the highlights channel revenue, because there wasn't a clear agreement about when the podcast was clipped to highlights, who was getting the revenue from highlights and what the rev share was. Both Trish and Ethan shared all of their text messages between each other, and it seemed like the handshake agreement they came up with were in text message. I would say that that's a great starting point, but at some point it needs to be written down, especially if it's a situation like the Frenemies podcast that was being hosted on the H3 channel. All that ad revenue goes into the H3 channel. If it's a jointly created channel that doesn't just belong to one person or the other, understanding who has access, who has password access, what's going to be reinvested, what's going to be paid out, all has to be discussed, because the only ships that don't sail are partnerships. And it's something that we joke about in law school. And then as I'm covering the Toddy Westbrook business partner lawsuits, I'm watching how spectacularly this is all flaming out because some of their agreements just weren't clear, and making sure things are clear, like what activities could be taken on other channels when you're representing the channel, what people are going to talk about on Twitter to make sure you don't cancel your joint channel by, going on a rant for or against and any number of hot button topics that you can pick at the moment. So I think having very clear understandings and looking at it like a prenuptial agreement, we all love each other now. We don't expect it to go wrong, but if it does, how does this end and how does it end fairly is a really good plan. And it's okay to have a third party consult with you on that to help create it. It's like marriage counseling, being in a partnership. And you've got to be, if you're not willing to talk about the money stuff and how it all divides up and what happens if we all break up, then you're not ready to be in a partnership. It's just like if you're not ready to talk about condoms, you're not ready to be having sex. Same thing. Same thing.
That's probably the best advice of the entire live stream. Congratulations here to PC Builder, who says that just dropping in to say that it's the last day of their regular job and they're going full-time on YouTube. Your channel, I assume we're talking about your channel, Emily, not ours, has been a big
I'm assuming they're talking about yours. PC Builder, congratulations. And congratulations. Now, I don't teach people how to grow on YouTube. I just talk about shit when it flames out and ends up in lawsuits.
I want to ask maybe, even though it's not a question here, but let's try and conjure up a question here. So his last day on the job, on his regular job, is on Friday. What are the first things he should be doing on Monday morning as a independent an independent contractor? In other words, what should he do on Monday regarding now, I assume, his full-time career, which is building PCs on YouTube?
Cat-proof your office.
Yes, cat-proof your office. Sleep in. You don't have to be anywhere. You don't have to show up for a job. Don't wear pants. Don't wear pants. Just, workout shorts, boxers, whatever, briefs, or nothing. I don't care. Don't wear pants. But no, on the serious side, make sure that you've gone through and set up your business. If it is your full-time business, I'm sure that you've done that. And make sure that that is separated out so that okay, I'm operating as a sole proprietor. These are the things I'm doing, or I want to start an LLC. We're right in the middle of the year, so it's still not too tax detrimental to start a formal company in the middle of the year. Once we get into like October, it's like, do you really have to do it now? Could you wait till January? So making those decisions and just enjoying it. And the thing that I did for months when I started working for myself is I just repeated my workday from the DA's office. And I was like, wait, why am I doing this? Because it was just my habit. And so really take the time to figure out how you want to work in your day now that you're self-employed, and what your work days need to look like. Because it's okay. I mean, most of my friends that are self-employed, we all showered. We all do like a midday shower, so you get camera ready. But most people who get up and go to work get up and, I mean, unless you're a celebrity, apparently they don't shower. This has been going on Twitter for days. But yeah. You get up in the morning, you shower, you eat breakfast, you go to work. You don't have to do that anymore. You can, eat breakfast at 10 a.m., go to Starbucks, have fun. Shift your bills over now that you can pay them through your business. Start paying your internet and your cell phone and all that stuff through your business, and really maximize those business expenses and have fun.
Congrats, PC Builder.
And if you're me, go buy a new purse. That's what I do to celebrate milestones.
Now, we like to take a little bit of a break from Q&A during these live streams to play a little game, but don't worry, we're still going to be answering your questions. We just have to kind of get something out of the way first.
Quite frankly, the best use of your time ever done. That intro.
Thanks.
Incredible.
Posted a video on Monday. I do these live streams, but that was the thing. That is the thing.
All right,
I guess I need to tell people how this works. Defend the Indefensible. I just got to get through all of the stuff. All right, defend the Indefensible. Yeah. So what happens over the next 2 or 3 minutes is that Dan, Emily, and myself must vigorously support a theme for 30 seconds that is either distasteful, politically incorrect, although we haven't quite got there yet, plainly wrong, self-derisory, or entirely contrary to the creator's known opinions. And now I think how this works is we do 2 rounds. We'll do one now and probably later on in the second hour, where I give, say, Dan something that he has to defend for 30 seconds, and then Dan may give Emily something, and then Emily may give me something, and then I will put a voting poll up in the chat, and you can decide who won that round. So who wants to go first this week?
I have something for you.
For me? Okay, so you're going to put it in the chat. Is that right, Dan? And so I'll hide the chat so I can't see it.
Oh, I already have. I guess I could just make a banner real quick, right?
Yeah, so we put a banner so everyone can see it, and I will bring up the timer. People are probably wondering what on earth are they talking about. It'll make complete sense in about a minute when we start the game. So I've got 30 seconds ready, Dan. So whenever you're ready to put up the Defend It Indefensible, and I will try my best to defend it.
All right. Awesome. So what you're defending is the idea that YouTube now encourages users to steal content from TikTok for their Shorts channels. This is now an encouraged thing.
That is now absolutely correct, since you can now earn a ton of money from YouTube Shorts. I mean, you could be getting $100. You could be getting $1,000. You could be getting $10,000 a month to go onto TikTok, download somebody else's hard work and effort, and just slap it on YouTube Shorts. The one thing you got to remember is to somehow hide that watermark, or else it's not going to count. Was that enough time? Yes, it was. Thank you. I didn't think I did very well there, if I'm honest. I thought it was a poor effort.
I think you didn't defend it very. You didn't really come to the defense of TikTok stealers. You know? No. I mean, all right, fair enough. I'm influencing the vote now.
So I guess I will be doing Emily in this first one, because that kind of works out, doesn't it? Right. So, sure. Emily, are you ready? You're going to be defending the following. Let me just paste this in here. So we put that in as a banner, and I do that there, and then I add banner. All right. Right. Okay. So you're defending the following, Emily, for 30 seconds, and it reads a little bit like this. To modernize the famous Pablo Picasso quote, good creators copy, but great creators steal. To hell with copyright. Go.
This is parody. Why would you bother recreating something if the wheel is already perfect? Just repurpose it. It's okay. Somebody else has paid a designer for that amazing logo. Go ahead, put it on your merch, put it on a shirt. You know, that music that you like so much. Why would you create something new? Just go ahead and take it and use it. If you find it on Google, clearly it was meant for you and is available. Just go ahead, take it, run with it. Consequences be damned.
Oh. Perfect timing. I mean, we've got no chance. As a former district attorney, how can we defend you?
I don't know if that was good or not.
That was great.
It's so hard to argue.
I think
like, it hurts my stomach to be like, no, it's fine. Fuck it. Sometimes you'll just do better. You know, look, here's the thing. Look at 50 Shades of Grey. It started as Twilight fan fiction. Who cares that those characters belong to another creator? Write the fan fiction, get that bag.
I think when you said if it's on Google, it was made to be used by you, or whatever you said. That was perfect. All right, Emily. So have you got a Defend Indefensible for Dan?
I've totally forgot to think of Defend the Indefensible. Oh, hold on, I will. No, I already asked that one. Damn it.
It's okay.
I don't have a Defend the Indefensible. I didn't even think of them this time. Oh no, I can ask one.
I talk about gaming a lot. Does that help?
I know you talk about gaming a lot. Yes, I'm going to do a flip of this one. Do you want me to put it in private chat?
Sure. So put it in private chat, and I'll grab it. Yeah.
It got really quiet.
In the meantime, everybody, did you know that we create a wonderful collection of tools that you can download that are available, such as keyword research, thumbnail previewing. We also have a channel audit tool, and all of these wonderful tools are available at vidIQ. And if you use a link in the video description, you will get a 30-day free trial, which allows you to use everything in our tool set for absolutely free. So do make sure to check out vidIQ if you haven't already done so. And yeah, make sure to take advantage of our tools to help grow your channel, start earning some money, turn it into a business, and use all of the advice that we have been giving you throughout this stream. Have I given Emily enough time?
Yeah, StreamYard bounced me. Like, StreamYard completely bounced me out. It's so weird.
Yesterday, I was after a stream, I was talking to Rob, and I asked him a question, and I used the middle mouse button at the same time to open a tab. So I asked the question, and the second I asked it, I hit that button, and it kicked me out of StreamYard. He's just like,
I was trying to type my question, and it just bounced me right out. I was like, what?
All right. I think I've got it. Are you ready? Are you ready for this one, Dan? You need to defend this, but Emily,
defend the indefensible.
You're going to be saying this. So, all right, let's go.
Dan, gameplay videos should be banned because they encourage kids to gamble.
All gameplay videos do this. We've seen it. We know this. And as someone who's not a parent, I think it's important that kids don't gamble anyway, because when kids gamble, they tend to use their parents' credit cards. And then we got whiny parents coming to us at vidIQ like, what do I do? My kid's gameplay channel just maxed out all of my MasterCards and my Visas. What am I supposed to do now? And we're like, I don't know, get a new kid, I guess. Good luck with that.
Get a new kid wins it for me.
That was a terrible defend it indefensible until the last 3 seconds. And then you just, that was brilliant. Get a new child. As somebody who's not a parent, it's fine to get a new child, I think. All right, I put in the voting poll. You can decide who won that first round of Defend the Indefensible. We'll do one maybe in another 30 minutes. So, Emily, if you do have a chance to think about one for me in that time, do think and write it down so we can put it on chat. Right, we'll get back to some questions now. Dan, I'll remove this. We're going to have to start from scratch almost because we haven't really been looking...
pen.
Questions. Let's see.
Fred the cat.
Find the question.
It was in the middle of the room. Fred.
My cat likes to hide stuff, so it doesn't end up in the middle of the room. It's on the couch.
Fred just knocks things over, and once they stop rolling, he loses interest and moves on. But I will say, my kids, the amount of money my kids want to spend on games because they watch gaming channels is like, oh, well, Preston opened whatever many loot boxes, or,
no.
It's just, my kids are like, can I spend $100 on loot boxes? I'm like, not if you don't have a channel that's making that money so you can then remonetize opening loot boxes. No, you cannot. And the other thing that I don't understand in the gaming space, all the gaming videos that seem to be made to target like the younger kids, they all scream. Why the high-pitched screaming? Why the high-pitched screaming? Freaking Tico and the high-pitched voice change. Oh my God. I hate it so much.
That's the thing that's on trend.
It tortures me and I hate it. And I want all of those channels banned just because I find them annoying. I really don't. I'm teasing. Okay, sorry.
Was that still parody?
No, that was not. That was just opinion.
Can I have multiple channels under my name? Sorry, I had this is a little confusing. Or do I have to run each channel as a separate business?
Oh, this is the same with like DBAs, doing business as, and fictitious business names. It really depends on the particularities of each business. But assuming that you are just running channels that aren't hugely controversial or might have high liability, then there's no reason not to just run. It's you running the channel and just run them under one business. But there can be some quirks to that. So as things start making money, it's always worth having a conversation with somebody who does business strategy and business setup, because there can be some reasons to separate things out down the road.
Do you think a creator such as Mr. Beast would have different businesses for all of his ventures, because he has a philanthropy channel, which I can never pronounce that word. He also
philanthropic.
Sure, one of them. A gaming channel. He also has a Reacts channel and his main channel. Do you think there's multiple businesses going on there, or it's all funneled under one empire, so to speak?
If I were advising Mr. Beast, depending on what else he's doing, I would probably have multiple LLCs in a holding company so that not all of the money is in one place, and especially with regard to his main channel where he does do stunt driving and pranks and people chase. Like the potential for somebody to get hurt, even accidentally, in one of those videos from jumping over a wall or tripping and breaking an arm while they're carrying 50 pizza boxes or whatever, the liability on a channel like that, you'd want to separate out the money from the other channels so that you can't get at all of it. So I would have the higher liability thing separated out from other things. And then I would have investments separated into a separate company. You might hold your intellectual property in a third company. Once you get to a business like Mr. Beast, you can end up running 5, 6, 7 or more LLCs very easily. And I break that down again, in the Toddy Westbrook case, they have an entity that holds the intellectual property, an operating entity, and then the operating entity is owned by different entities. So the business that's Halo makes the vitamins and stuff that they sell, but the distributions that go to the business partners go into different companies, and then those companies pay the business partners. So you can end up with this kind of umbrella business structure, and then you can move money around in really creative ways that if you didn't have business structures would be money laundering, but because you have business structures is legal. It's so weird. It's great. Lots you can do for now. I think the government's trying to change some of that, but the businesses are like, no, sir, don't you dare.
So Mid-Age Runner asks, I'm closing in on 100 subscribers. Is there any value in setting my custom URL? I'm going to say the answer to this is absolutely yes, for a multitude of reasons, but mostly branding. Being able to say, oh, yeah, you can find me just youtube.com/Mid-Age Runner. It is so much more valuable than saying, yeah, you can find me. It's youtube.com/UXPV45782, comma period. Yeah, like it. Yes, but maybe you're questioning what that URL should be, and that's kind of, yeah. You want it to be simple, easy to remember. It's just like your channel name. But anyone else have anything to add to that?
It's the same as claiming. Like if Facebook decided to start an email service, everybody would try and claim their names because there's only one unique result. For example, if you search for youtube.com/Mr. Beast, you will not find Mr. Beast because it's Mr. Beast 6000. I seem to remember because somebody already claimed that URL. So yeah, just bag it as soon as you can.
Absolutely.
The same with all intellectual property, by the way. As your channel grows, stake your claim in the ground. There's only so many ways you can say things and only so many creative uses. So yes, stake your ground. And that's the same with, you can use a website like Name Checker and see if the social media handles are taken on Instagram, on Twitter. So if you're starting a channel name, you can have all those socials if you're not branding as a personal brand under your own name. Because having the YouTube channel, the Twitter handle, the Instagram, whatever socials you're using is an important thing to have them all be the same. It makes it a lot easier to grow your community. It's way easier for me to say you can find me everywhere at theemilydbaker.com and not have to be like, okay, on YouTube, it's Emily D. Baker. On Instagram, it's the Emily D. Baker 321. On Twitter, it's Emily D. Baker the 3. Try to make them all the same.
Oh, before we get to this question, I want to really quickly say there are a lot of questions coming in that are not necessarily like on theme with today's show, and especially when we have Emily on. But whenever we have a guest on, we like to make sure that we keep the theme of the episode on the what you see in the title and thumbnail. So if you're asking questions that aren't getting answered, I am noticing a lot of people in chat are taking the time to actually answer you. So be paying attention when they ping you. Be paying attention to your name lighting up in chat, because we have a lot of very knowledgeable folks in this community providing a lot of answers to those extra questions. And if you want even more value, check out vidIQ.com/Discord and check out our Discord community.
Yeah,
There's
thanks
a
to
Discord?
the community.
We have a Discord.
I didn't know that.
Well, see, vidIQ.com/Discord.
I'll come join Discord. I am just starting to use Discord. I didn't realize this is the only way my 13-year-old communicates anymore. So now I'm like, oh, I need a Discord server with my teenager so we can communicate. But I didn't really realize how many YouTube communities had Discord servers.
A lot. And I would, that's another bit of advice. A lot of people who are kind of starting YouTube, like, oh, I should probably get a Discord. I can tell you from experience that if you start a Discord when your channel is kind of too small, like if you're not even at 100 subscribers yet, for example, you end up inviting like 5 or 6 people in there. It doesn't grow for a long time. Those 5 or 6 people form this really tight bond. And then as your channel grows, more people come in and it's very insular.
They're like, get these people out of here.
Right. They're not very welcoming
to with us.
Yeah, that happened to me. I have experience with that. So start your Discord later on. Make that a part of your roadmap as you're expanding out all the different places you are. We were just talking about names on social and things like that. This would be one of those things. Like, start it when you can actually take the time to manage it and when there's kind of people in your orbit to join it.
And maybe grab your subreddit link so that your anti-community doesn't grab your subreddit. Because there are a couple anti-communities that I have seen that have the Reddit handle that's the channel name, but it is not for their community of supporters.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
Is that coming from experience, Emily? Do you have
No, it is not.
Okay.
One of my lovely law nerds, as my channel started to grow, grabbed the subreddit for me and was like, you have to do this so that someone who doesn't like you doesn't do this. And I didn't realize that was a thing. And then I've started to, people will now send me subreddit links of stories I'm covering. And I've started to find these little pockets on Reddit where there are the community groups and the community Reddits that are very large and thriving, and it's where people get together. But there are also these anti-community Reddits that are very interesting. So I didn't realize that was a thing. I'm not really, well, it wasn't then, am much more now on Reddit. And H3 is actually being sued over stuff that was posted in their subreddit. That they didn't even say because somebody's, anyway, we'll get into that another day. But yes, this Tree Kitty asked a good question.
Yeah, 10 minutes ago.
Sorry. May I still write off business expenses if my channel isn't monetized yet?
So there's a difference between writing off expenses and using business funds to pay for business expenses. Being able to write them off on your taxes really depends on your situation, your channel, how much you've spent, and that is for a tax professional. Paying it with business funds is different. If you are investing into your business, take the money from your personal funds, whatever you get paid after you get paid, invest it into your business, move it into your business account, and then spend it. That's not writing it off. You're writing off the investment into your business, and then you're using business funds if you're growing towards your channel being monetized. If you're not going to grow towards your channel being monetized, then I wouldn't necessarily suggest that strategy because you might just be moving money around for no reason. So it really depends on your situation. Sorry,
it's a landslide victory for Emily, as usual, in defending Indefensible round 1. 53%.
Y'all don't have to vote for me, but that's very sweet.
Dan, you did all right, 32%. And I think deservedly only got 15% of a vote. And I think that was just
Dan did say get another kid.
Yeah, I cannot believe how that did not win. Defending, you could have just said that for 30 seconds, Dan, and I think
get another kid.
Get one that's not interested in video games and gameplay channels, and that's your solution.
Yep.
Easy. You're welcome.
Sorry,
by the way,
I wasn't looking at questions there.
Let's see. Any questions like how do I gain more subscribers, things like that? That's what our whole channel's about. So be sure to go check out our backlog of videos. We help you with that. Just about every week, in fact. Here you go. But then we have this. It's very confusing. The poll results may be lying. I'm just going to say that. Just going to put that out there. So please start your question with #question. And
someone else had a bit of Discord advice here as well.
Oh, yes.
Make sure to be prepared to moderate.
Be ready to moderate. Yes. If you're going to start a Discord channel server with your YouTube channel, yes, be prepared to moderate. Set up rules. Discord has a lot of auto mod features kind of built into it. I would definitely recommend turning those up to 11, especially when you're just kind of starting. If you have a big audience kind of waiting at the door, do everything you can to protect that community. Don't be afraid to remove people from your community who are coming in there and maybe they're not technically breaking the rules, but they're being very disruptive, and you can tell they're kind of dragging the energy down. Like they're ruining the experience for everybody else on your Discord server. I'm very heavy-handed when I moderate, and it makes for a better community in the end. There's a couple of, angry messages you get outside of it once you ban those folks and they go back to your email, but it's all worth it in the end.
I'd rather have a strong community and a few angry people that are mad that they don't get to be a part of it than vice versa. Because toxicity can really infect a community.
It can. And I had an identity for a while that people became okay with kind of beating up on. Like that was the thing. But then you have the people who come in there, they don't get it's a joke and they take it too far. And you can't ever recover from that. Once your core audience is in on it and the new audience doesn't really get it, it's just this constant battle of like you've moved the goalpost, you moved the line of where the rules are. It's just sorry, I know I'm going off on a thing, but
no, it's a good point, because when we're talking about this stuff, some of the scandals you see that creators get themselves into, which can affect your business if you get into scandal, it can either be a positive or a negative. It just depends on the day. I think I can't tell why some scandals bump people's business and some scandals like cancel them off the internet. I don't know where that point is. I'm not a sociologist. But scandals coming out of Discord server, especially in smaller YouTube communities, you see the screenshots going around Twitter. It's this person did this in this Discord server, and it can be very disruptive to your channel and your live streams and your income at the end of the day. So having a heavy hand and having rules for your community is part of building a thriving community. We do this here. We don't do this here. There's a channel I stream with regularly, and they rip on each other just like, you know, when I was in high school in the 90s. It is him and his chat ripping back and forth on each other. When sometimes the law nerds will come on to stream, they're like, what is happening over here? I'm like, right, no, this is the Wild West. That's not what we do on our channel, but this is their channel. So this is that channel. And if you're going to get offended by what they do on their channel, just, it's okay to miss this one. So it's different.
Going back to the businesses for a sec too, if you have a channel that looks on the surface to someone coming in unprofessional, like we rip on each other all the time, it's really hard to get the culture here, it just seems very toxic. This could affect sponsorships in the future. Companies may not want to work with you because your community just has a toxic vibe that may not fit. Even if they get it, they respect it. They're like, yeah, I get what you're doing. It's just they may not fit with their brand. And so these are all choices that you make when you're building your community.
Brand friendly versus not brand friendly. I curse a lot in life, and I choose to curse in my content and on everyone else's content too. Apparently, we tone it down a little for y'all, but that's something I know it's going to turn off certain advertisers, and I'm okay with that because they're probably not a right fit for my community anyway. But that's a choice that you make as a content creator. Yeah.
Can you still get copyright claimed for using CCR content? What is that, Rob?
I think that's Creative Commons. That's what I'm going with. I don't know what.
Not parsable. Can you tell us what you mean by CCR?
I did do a Google search, and I was not finding the answers. But so I'm going with the Creative Commons side of this.
Yeah, I know we have a bit of a delay with chat and everything, so hopefully we can get an answer to that. But before we even know what that is, my answer is if you have to ask, you may want to consider not going there. But it's Creative Commons reusing. What does that mean? I feel naive now.
Let's just assume it's Creative Commons.
Okay.
You can generally use Creative Commons work. I don't know who would be the person that would copyright it. So who would strike it? Because if it's Creative Commons, there shouldn't be anyone to strike it. But that doesn't mean it can't happen. It's like, can you get sued for X? Yes, you can get sued for anything.
What I would say is that I don't think there's anything wrong with using that content, but when it comes to monetizing that content, then YouTube may pull out the reuse content reason that they have often done in the past, and leaves creators thinking, what on earth are they talking about in terms of, you know, I've checked that I can use this content. You know, I've gone on to Pixabay or wherever else. There's a lot of these creators who go to these sites and look for specific videos that are Creative Commons, and then they use it for YouTube Shorts and have 10 different travel destinations, and then they're confused as to why they may not be able to monetize it. And I think that's what YouTube are probably saying themselves, in terms of it's not illegal, but that doesn't necessarily mean we're going to be allowed to monetize it, because it's not in the spirit of creating original content, which is, I think, what YouTube is ultimately trying to endorse and promote within its creator community. That's more of an opinion, I would say, rather than a rule of law on YouTube.
There are a number of services you can use too for stock video, stock like music, everything that you can actually use and monetize. And yeah, I would highly encourage that if you're ever concerned, because it's actually cheaper than ever to get stock footage and things like that. We have something called vidIQ.com/rewards, and there's all kinds of services like that to check out that have music, and stock footage and things like that.
I think there were some examples. I'm trying to remember back of some examples. I'm sure somebody emailed me a couple of years ago where they were uploading sketches of Laurel and Hardy, or comedy sketches, which I think were available in the public domain. They were Creative Commons, but then they were unable to monetize that content because I think of the reused aspect of YouTube's own policies, regardless of law.
YouTube's own policies, regardless of if it's from TikTok. You can upload it. You can gain all the subscribers on it.
Yeah.
So I think that answered the question.
Yeah.
Hopefully so.
Hopefully.
Now, if you're transforming it in a significant way, reacting to it, adding an education, etc.,
parody,
then it's a completely different story. But we don't know what the context is. And please don't ask us, because we've answered this so many times.
We have, and if you want to look, we have videos that we've streamed together on this channel with regard to fair use and copyright, and where some of those boundaries are. I also have a breakdown of some of the seminal fair use cases on my channel on that playlist for creators. But fair use is a defense. My response is always, remember, fair use is a defense. It doesn't mean, oh, it's fair use, it's fine. No, you get sued and then you have to prove that you're right, which can be very expensive to do.
This is a similar question, so I figured I'd just bring it up real quick. Using film clips and original cartoon drawings on their vlog, I think that's copyright.
It depends.
Yeah, it depends.
I mean, yes, it's copyright. It depends if it's fair use, copyright, or another defensible and appropriate use of copyright. Yes, it's copyright. If it's a permissible use or not is different. And this is something that's going on right now within the fanfic space. I was just on a booktube channel in chat regarding fan fiction and copyright within fan fiction, because they don't own the rights to the characters, but then people are ripping off fanfic works in plagiaristic ways. And it's copyright can be very simplistic, but it also can be very, very much more complicated.
I guess Watch Mojo or a similar channel would be the biggest example of this, where I guess all of the content they are using is not their own; it's from some other source. But we don't know that. I certainly don't know if Watch Mojo have agreements with all of these channels to get permission, or they don't. None of his content is monetized, and they're making it through sponsorships or somewhere else. So you're always going to find examples of people using content from elsewhere.
Let's pretend for a second that they are monetized and they don't have deals with anybody, and they're just kind of doing this. No matter how transformative the content is, am I right in assuming that Disney could still come after them for that Avengers video in the middle there, because they disagree? They're just like, even if they're wrong, they're like, they could still go after you. You can still have to deal with that. Is that accurate, Emily?
Yes, because it's a defense. Again, they would have to prove that it's fair use. And that can trying to prove that you are right on a fair use question is probably going to cost you $100,000 to start with, because you have to go through the litigation process to prove that you are right. Or you have to go, my bad, back down. Please don't take my money or my channel. Thank you. So sorry. Goodbye. But you have to understand fair use. Most fair use stuff dies. This is happening a lot right now with the Olympics footage. People doing commentary on the Olympics getting copyright claimed and fighting copyright claims within YouTube's own system. But again, this is why I say it's a defense. You have to prove that you are right to a judge, and judges vary wildly on how they see copyright. So you have to not just prove it to a judge, but hopefully prove it to a judge that's not like on a diet and going through a divorce on any given day. You have to prove it to someone sitting in a robe somewhere that you're right. And if you're going up against Disney, they will just beat you into the ground with money. And unfortunately, civil litigation sometimes is going to be the money will out and see who can last longer. And that can be a huge problem. We've talked about H3 a lot because they have a couple different lawsuits that they've been through on their channel. But when they were fighting with Matt Haas over fair use, they won. But again, they won, but at what cost? And that actually helped really break down fair use. And I break down that case on my channel because the judge laid it out very well, how they decided. But that's still hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees to get to the point where they won. And so if you're not ready to spend that, make sure you understand. Like Scarlett Johansson fighting Disney is going to be very interesting. There's money there. And so they're going to get to battle it out. I mean, Disney's going to have more money, but public perception is going to be on Scarlett Johansson's side.
Can I give full authority and my money to my spouse from my channel, even though I'm running the channel? I guess they're asking, can she claim all the money from it? I suppose, of course, it would be the answer, but maybe I'm not understanding the question.
I don't quite understand the question, and it really is going to depend. If you're in the States and they're your spouse, then if their name is on the AdSense account, I don't know if that's an issue with YouTube, but all that would get claimed on your taxes. If you're moving it to someone else to avoid tax liability, you could still be responsible for paying taxes on it, even if you put it under somebody else's social security number to claim. So it really depends on the reason and the purpose.
Hopefully that
also,
answers your question.
if you are building a channel together and then you get divorced, if all the money's going to them, it's hard for you to argue that you get to keep the money at the end. So there's lots to consider with that. But who has the AdSense account is something to consider, and I don't know if that was the heart of the question.
It feels like there's a defend Indefensible somewhere in there.
I mean, I'm not sure, and it's hard for me to tell sometimes. Like, are we serious? Are we joking? Are we talking about like, I just want to give my spouse all the money so they can go do whatever? Or is it like, how do we have another person who's helping run this channel, even though I'm the face of the channel? And that becomes a different question, where you can have another manager on your YouTube channel in the back end of YouTube, can't you?
Yeah, as many as you want. Oh, you beat me to it, Dan.
Yeah, there's the one after that is one I want to talk about too. But any benefits to operating a channel under an LLC versus a DBA, doing business as a sole proprietor? We did talk about this earlier, but maybe Emily's like a very quick recap.
There can be some different tax benefits and liability considerations, but those are going to be very specific to your situation. Just by way of example, the things when I do this kind of consulting, the things I look at are potential liability. A channel like Mr. Beast, he's got a bunch of friends on video running around doing challenges where somebody can get hurt. And I think Mr. Beast is much more mindful about that, excuse me, than a creator like David Dobrik. But if you're doing that kind of content, you really can come across liability issues where somebody could get hurt in filming your content. Then you're going to want a fully funded LLC for liability purposes. If you're just talking about tax benefits, there are some tax benefits you don't get as a sole proprietor that you get as an LLC. If you're not talking about a ton of money, then yes, you can legally run as a DBA sole proprietor without it being detrimental to you. And a lot of channels do that. So it really depends on your situation. I always look at what you're spending, what you're making, what your retirement is, what your spouse's situation is, what your investments are, and take all of that into consideration to come up with a strategy to best make your money work for you and to best make, to best let you strategize your taxes using your business. So there's lots of benefits to doing one versus the other. It's just, can you capitalize on those benefits?
So this one from Tanner Animation. Is it child exploitation? Are you all right? All right. Is it child exploitation if you make money off your kids in your videos? Roman Atwood, for example, the kids are the main focus of the videos.
Isn't this a bit of a subjective question?
It is kind of subjective, yeah. I maybe shouldn't have picked it for that reason.
There's lots of controversy regarding family vlog channels and channels where the children are the main focus of the channel. Right now, there are not the type of laws there are in Hollywood, like with child actors. There are a lot of provisions, laws, and work hours. That has not spilled over to the internet space yet, though I think that it will, especially as we start seeing a generation of kids who grew up on YouTube and didn't choose it, starting to have some say in it. Like, are we going to get Ryan's toy review, like doing an expose video and like my childhood as a child toy box opener? You know, are we going to see that? Maybe, maybe not, but it seems that his parents also were familiar with Hollywood and came out of that background and probably have things set up. But is it child exploitation? I mean, that's subjective. Is it legally, like, would it fall under a federal criminal definition of child exploitation? Probably not in most circumstances, but that's also a case-by-case basis.
I run my mom's cooking channel and we aren't monetized yet, but when we do, how should I set up the AdSense account? Would that be a joint business?
That's between you and your mom, how you guys want to set it up. And I would absolutely have that conversation about how to set it up. A lot of channels, if you're helping, then you could be hired as an employee and you can get paid. So it would be set up under your mom. It would be their account. And then you would get paid as an employee or a contractor of that channel, or you could do a revenue share, things like that. So It just really depends on how you both want to do it. And it also depends on your work-life situation, your mom's work-life situation, how much time you're both putting in, things like that. So hopefully that helps. The reason people make fun of lawyers for saying it depends is because none of this stuff is simple, and there can be so many opportunities there, but it has to be a deeper conversation of how do we want to do it? And you can make a lot of different types of business arrangements work. It just really depends on all of the circumstances.
I'm going to try and pronounce his name. Yesek Mender says that they've received an email from YouTube which says copyright notification regarding video X with no further explanation. Does it mean a copyright strike? Should I be concerned? So my first response to that is, are you 100% sure that this email is from YouTube? Because it should be very, very clear what is happening. It should say something along the lines of copyright claim, content ID, whether it's a strike or not. And if you're not sure if it's a legitimate email, then go directly to the source, which is to go to YouTube Studio, and then see if there are any messages there. It should tell you very plainly and cleanly in the content page of YouTube Studio
they have that little,
if there is a copyright claim. Yeah.
Don't they have that little circle? They have a little copyright logo in your... They just moved a bunch of stuff. I went on vacation. YouTube, by the way, I'm gonna ramble for a second while you look for that. YouTube is like, we value content creators' mental health. And I get back from vacation, and in my studio, all of my arrows are going like this. They're all gray. And YouTube's like, you have less views because you've uploaded less videos. No shit, I've uploaded less videos. I took a break. I needed a break, people. No, I was on vacation with my family, but then I'm getting a hard time in the back end of my YouTube channel because the analytics are savage after you take a little bit of a break from uploading.
Savage analytics. Oh, I like this one.
we got dark mode though.
We did get dark mode though.
Yay. So
and they moved some of the live streaming stuff around. So when you set up a live stream, there's different places to deal with the content. It was very confusing to me yesterday.
Oh.
So to the person who asked the question, I would go to this screen, which is a channel content, sort by copyright claims, and that will tell you exactly what's going on with any of your content and review it from there. So maybe, all right, you've got an email, that's very good, but ignore the email itself in terms of clicking on any links. Go directly to the YouTube Studio and you should get your answers there.
And you can go to that little copyrighty circle too. Doesn't that have messages and stuff, or is that only for your content?
So if you mouse over that, you can click on see details. And then
no, down the under content playlist analytics. That down there. Is that for yours only?
This is for when other people are using your copyrighted content. Yeah.
Only.
So this is to protect your content on YouTube.
Okay. See, we learn things every day. I was wondering. I was like, there's a little copyright thing. I didn't know if that was just for your content or if all your copyright stuff would be under there.
Yeah, it's the copyright matching tool essentially.
Viper's here. Hello, Viper.
Hey, what up, Viper?
In the house.
MCing at VidSummit, I believe.
Yes, and Viper runs one of our Clubhouse rooms. Be sure to check out. If you're in Clubhouse, vidIQ has their very own club. So we got rooms going on all the time.
Tell me that vidIQ is like hosting a party at VidSummit. I'll be very excited.
Even if
it can just be like us and Viper.
I think if whether we knew or not, I don't know if we could say.
Oh, I'll find out. We'll find out.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to be at VidSummit. I'm not excited that when they slotted my speaking time in, they didn't consider that I have hair and makeup to be done before I speak. We don't just wake up like this. So I'm like, you need to put the female speakers on at least 10 or later. Give us some time to get ready in the morning. But no, I'm speaking very early in the morning.
And what are you speaking on?
I'm talking about communities in live streaming. So building your community through using live streaming, which is, a little bit aside from the legal stuff, but it's also for most content creators, building community is really a valuable thing. So
yeah,
I'm excited to talk about that.
We should discuss that more because I think I have some thoughts I would probably share with you off camera. Maybe there's a presentation, a more public one, but yes to that community building live streams. Anyway, there's something we need to get to real quick. Round two.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Round two of Defending the Indefensible, where we ask each other to stand by statements that we don't actually agree with. And then you vote to see who's the worst.
No, and then Emily wins.
And then Emily wins.
Stop. Emily doesn't have to win. We don't have to win. I think you guys do a great job. The questions are hard. And Rob, I think maybe this time we can do 2 polls. We vote for which was the best question and then which was the best answer.
Ah, yes.
Okay, yeah.
Because Rob, your questions have been savage lately. Some of them are very, very difficult. I like Dan's are cheeky. So
we kind of got to implement some of these Jackbox game strategies into this. That's kind of what they would do. All right, I have one now for Emily.
All right.
Okay.
So, are you ready to just paste that in, Dan, and then I can start the timer?
Yes, I am.
All right. Whenever you're ready to ask.
Hold on, let me read it again just to make sure I got my own context here right. Oh, I thought of this before the stream. I think we might have accidentally teased this though earlier. So you've had time to prepare for this, Emily.
Uh-oh.
All right, here we go. Gaming creators who use artwork from their favorite game on their merch. That's a thing they do. And that's totally cool.
Wait, I'm supposed to defend this.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, if the game's letting you stream, it's because they want you to advertise it, and free advertising is amazing. So when your YouTube channel has 1,000 subs, you are really putting in the work for your favorite game by selling merch where you are monetizing their logo. And hey, you know what? They probably don't own their logo anyway, because they probably didn't pay that designer for a work for hire release. So, it's not really theirs. So it's not really stealing.
Putting the blame on the owner of a work. Savage indeed. All right, so Emily, you can. No, who's doing me this time? Is it
Emily? Would be, I think.
Emily. So Emily,
right?
if you want to send.
Oh, Rob, you asked Dan. I'll put it in the chat while you guys are going.
All right, okay, Dan. So I'm ready to give you this one. Are you ready to defend it?
I don't know.
Well, you don't have a choice, to be honest. Right, so here we go, Dan. You are defending the following, which reads like this. I give gaming channels all the wrong advice, so it gives creators like me who actually know what they're doing a better chance to thrive on YouTube.
Is this news to anybody at all? I mean, I'm a YouTube creator, and if you're also a YouTube creator, that's less for me, a YouTube creator as well. So what I do very, very strategically, is I give you very bad advice. I tell you to play one game. You can only play one game ever on your channel. That's so dumb, because you can play it as many as you want and get millions of views, but I've just put you in a little box so I don't have to worry about you anymore. It's perfect. It's the perfect plan.
Oh, the maniacal laugh halfway through, Dan. That really worked for you there. I liked it.
Thanks. Been practicing my maniacal
Well
laugh.
defended, sir. All right, I'll go off for private chat so that we can catch Emily's question to me this time.
Hold on, I wrote this badly.
So I paste it for Rob now.
Yep.
So
okay.
you paste it in, yeah. So I've gone away from the banner section, so I can't see it until I have to defend it.
Okay. We got to get Emily some admin controls next time.
Next time.
Yeah, it's a good idea, actually.
The power.
All right. Okay, yeah. Let's see here.
All right, are we good?
Get rid of that. No, we're not good. Hold on. All right, I got the banner ready. You ready?
All right, I'm ready.
Okay.
Emily, so you're going to read this to Rob, and Rob will start the time. All right, here we go.
Rob, creators who think YouTube is shadow banning their content are right. YouTube hates you/them.
100% correct. You see, the thing is, YouTube hates everybody, including you down there, and including you up there, and including everybody who's commenting. YouTube doesn't want to see anybody succeed. All they want to do is pretend that you get a certain amount of views and you get a certain amount of revenue, so that they can say that they give you a 55% split, where in actual fact they're getting tons more views, tons more money, and they're just not actually displaying that in the analytics. Tough luck, you.
Well done.
It was all right.
It's an indefensible position.
I kind of drifted off shadow banning there. I just started talking about YouTube hating everybody. Well, it's the same thing.
Same thing.
All right. So 2 polls there. Best question I will ask. I've defended Indefensible, and then we'll have the best answer. Right. So, while I'm doing that, more questions, Dan, if you can find any.
Okay, we do have some time for a few more questions. Let's see. This is more of a question I would encourage UsTube to Google, but how can I make different channels on one account? It's not very difficult to do. You need to go into your account settings. It's a page you wouldn't normally go into. It's not your dashboard, but definitely Google that because I have to look it up. I've made multiple channels under one channel, and I still have to look it up anytime I want to experiment with a new channel, like because I just forget. I never go into that section of YouTube.
YouTube is still messing about a little bit with the add new channels page because it's getting better every single month, but occasionally you just find these ancient YouTube pages from 2016. There's a couple still left dotted around, and I think that's one of them where you can add a new channel. You end up on something that looks like it came from 2017, which it
looks like something that was written by the federal government. Yeah, try using the IRS's website. I think they're still coded in DOS. I'm actually low-key terrified that we're going to get to a place in time where no one can code these websites and they're all just going to crash, because I actually don't think the government puts enough attention into keeping those things up to date, and it's going to be a mess because the back ends of all those systems are DOS. It's a disaster.
Fun government fact, and don't ask me how I know this, but if you were going to school,
you'll have to kill all of us.
No, it's just a long story.
Yes,
but
that's true.
If you were going to school to be an air traffic controller, they would actually teach you how to control air traffic without any computers whatsoever as like a fail-safe. So even new air traffic controllers coming in today have to learn the ways they did it before computers.
That's fantastic.
That makes sense.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah,
because we've all seen the future movies. We know what's coming. I would tell people in school, like, still learn DOS, because at some point they're going to be like, who knows DOS, and it's going to be like 3 people going, me. I will take a transfer of $10 million directly into my bank account with no taxes, and then I will come help you.
Yeah, when you're like me and you're scared to fly, you look things up.
I mean, it's fair.
Have you watched Breaking Bad, Dan?
Oh yeah.
Oh, so you know the bit in that. What is it? The end of season 2, the air traffic control bit. Oh
yeah. Remind me of that, will you?
See, I always think of Clerks, where he's resting his eyes. What is he, an traffic controller? Yes, actually, that's his night job. But I love Kevin Smith and I love Clerks because that's my sense of humor. So a few more questions. I saw them, and then when you started chatting, I apologize.
Well, because I'm still looking for ones related to the topic of the day, and we are almost at time. So, were there any that you were, were there ones you wanted to answer?
Not Parzival asked, most shorts do better than longer videos. Should I convert my channel to a shorts channel? I feel like this is a defend the indefensible question. Not Parzival, did you mean a defend the indefensible question? Because you're asking me, who doesn't do anything shorter than 2 hours at this point. What would you guys say to look at the analytics to see shorts channel versus not shorts channel?
I think Dan's got the best answer to this in terms of traffic sources and seeing if there's a pivot point in the
my best answer for this is catered to a set of specific goals. So I'll give both. The first thing I would tell anybody asking this question is goals. What do you want out of your YouTube channel? Because if you're okay with just having a shorts channel, then just do that. Just make shorts. But if your plan is to pivot to long form content, this is where niching down gets even more important, because we've seen it with BlockFacts. We're still begging Jake Fellman to try making a long form video. If you can build up an audience with shorts that are very consistent in the way they look and feel and the topics they're about, eventually you don't have to rely on the short shelf to get views. The scale tips, and you start to notice you get views from browse features because you're building an audience of returning viewers. And once you notice that tip, where your videos are getting launched, not on the short shelf, but in browse, you now, in my opinion, have license to make the long form content, because you have built up this audience. YouTube knows exactly who your videos are for, but the important thing is that your long form content is just like your shorts, just a longer version of it in widescreen. So that's if your goal is to pivot, you want to make those shorts similar to the long form videos you plan to make in the future. Otherwise, you may as well have 2 different channels, because it's like anything else. Why would you build a car repair channel where sometimes you do gameplay videos. You're confusing your audience. You're not doing a good job of building returning viewers who can trust you to always give them what they subscribe for, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
And UsTube asked, should I make a separate channel for lives? I would say it's the same thing. If your lives are about the same thing as your video uploads, no. If you're doing 2 separate topics, then maybe. It depends if you're serving the same community. I have a YouTube question too, because I've been noticing this on YouTube mobile. I don't know if it's on desktop as well, because I've been watching a lot on mobile while I was on vacation. But there's like now a clip feature on mobile, so you can just clip other people's videos, I'm assuming, for shorts. It was very odd to see. When did they add that?
It's been rolling out slowly.
For ages. It originally came out for gaming channels, and it doesn't actually create a short. It's just a clipped version of that video.
Mm-hmm.
The
shareable.
Shareable.
Yeah, it's supposed to be for those epic moments, and you just wanted to share that 1 minute bit of your live stream, for example.
Now, from a creator's point of view, this is a bit useless at the moment because you don't know. Let's say, Emily, somebody clipped 500 clips of your live stream. You, as a creator, don't know that that's happened. There's no way for you to find out what creators are doing with your clips. Whereas if I clipped 20 parts of your live stream, then I can look at the library of my clips of your content. So it seems a little backwards from a creator perspective right now.
Yeah. Twitch has had these clips forever. Yeah, Twitch has had these clips forever, and you have a library of clips where you can see what your viewers are clipping, and it gives you a really good insight into what they thought was funny or interesting that they want to go back to, and it creates these little shareable files. YouTube doesn't create extra files. It literally just timestamp loops these little sections. And I've been begging YouTube, please, like, make it so I can see what people are clipping, because that's data for me. And also, it saves me work. If I want to make a short on any of that, I already have kind of a sample of my audience who think, hey, this would be a funny moment, you know? So we need to know what people are clipping.
Yeah, people can know if they're about to get into scandal.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, wow. There's 100 clips this moment where I said this word.
Oh, my.
Maybe I should
Winter is coming.
Shut everything down. Yeah.
I spend way too much time in the commentary side of YouTube, not as much time on the gameplay side of YouTube.
Well, even
the screaming and the yelling and the Minecrafting of it all.
As a broadcaster, you do very long live streams and very in-depth live streams. If there was a 1 minute, because it can only be 1 minute long max, if there's a 1 minute segment where somebody said, oh, Emily gave the answer to this, and it was like really concise and good,
super helpful,
right? And so people could go and grab that and share it around. And it's this is another use for Discord. I would create a clips room in your Discord and tell people for now, like, hey, put the clips you make in there. And then you can kind of create a library of clips, so moments that people think that are shareable. Now you have them to share as well.
That's very cool. I could see how it could be used for good and for bad.
Yes. We are at time. I don't know if there's anything else, Rob, you wanted to discuss or anything?
I can just mention that the winner of the best question in Defending Indefensible Round 2 was myself with 38%, others with 31%. But the winner of the best answer, yet again, the reigning, defending, undisputed champion of Defending Indefensible is Emily with 38%. Dan, you were close. You got 35%, but not quite there just yet.
Reigning champion.
Yay. Woo. Sound
Woo. I mean, it's like I have over $200,000 of legal education and a lifetime of arguing with my parents under my belt. I will say, though, I did, Model UN, which is kind of a argument-based high school competition style. I did mock trial. I did, law school, and then I was actually a litigator. The hardest arguments I still have are with my 13-year-old. So, I really think y'all need to find some 13-year-olds to argue with on Minecraft or Roblox. That is where you sharpen those skills for argument. They're hard.
Yeah, all the ones that have been kind of disregarded by their parents, the trade in, we talked about that earlier, they trade up. Those are the ones that you want to find because they're the most angsty.
Yep.
This is all
Where
joke.
can you find them?
Parody.
Are these all available at mydiscardedchildren.com?
Maybe don't go to that URL.
Parody. Don't clip this.
He's joking. vidIQ is not human trafficking children.
No. Too much work.
Oh dear.
Sorry.
We need to end this before we get in trouble.
I know. I'm getting too punchy. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. It was a lot of fun, and we will do it again. Our first Wednesday of next month, Emily? Is that?
I don't know what's the first Wednesday of next month. I don't even know what's happening. I'm supposed to be at concerts all next month, and I think I'm worried they're all going to get canceled. But yes, September 1st, we are on for a live stream. It's the first day of the month, and it's the first Wednesday of the month. It's very exciting.
Yes. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time. Have a good one.
Bye.
I love it when you can hear us but not see us. It's so much fun.
Rob's still waving.
Well, you just told me to wave, Dan. Now I'm doing it. But I'm in
show.
control. I could hang on. Yeah, there. There we go. Wave your hands. I'm taking off my gloves now.
All right. See you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.